So Google makes getting started with AdWords really simple. When you Google AdWords or you go to google.com/AdWords, you'll be brought to this landing page which has a couple calls to action, and it shouldn't take you too long to get figured out. If you've already done an AdWords campaign or you've logged in, you can come up here to the right-hand side on the top, click Sign In, and if you're new, you just click Get Started Now. Google does also offer a free support line. So if you want them to do it for you, or if at any point along the process you get caught up, you can give them a call and they'll help you out. But we're just going to kind of log into the dashboard and go through the process of creating our first campaign. Okay, so immediately after you log in, you'll be brought right to your campaign dashboard. And this is where you can see all the active campaigns you have, any paused campaigns, and any past campaigns. We've set up a campaign here for an example. So we'll just kind of go through the dashboard view to kind of give you an overview of what all these things mean. Right here we can see the status. Right now it's paused. It uses the universal pause symbol. You can also enable it or delete it right from here. Moving over, we have the campaign name, campaign type, which we'll get into when we create our first campaign. Over here, the budget. The budget for this campaign was $12 a day. Generally, that's a good place to start. The clicks can really range in price, and you'll get a good feel once you start a campaign for how much an average click would cost for the keywords you're using, and then you can adjust your budget accordingly. The status is again listed right here, and then we have clicks and impressions. As we said, clicks are the actual number of times somebody has actually seen your ad and click through to your website or to your landing page or whatever your call to action is. And then impressions is the actual number of people who have been exposed to your ad. They may have looked at it, they may not have, but it's just the number of people, the number of search queries that it has come up in. And then that next percentage is your click-through rate. So that's your clicks divided by impressions, which gives you an idea of the amount of, the ratio of clicks to impressions. That next column is your cost per click. This is going to give you an average based on when people search for certain keywords, what allows them, what is motivating them to click through, and then what price you're paying for that click. It's insightful, and that's going to help you adjust your budget accordingly. Cost is just going to be the amount of money you spent on this campaign since you started it. And then the rest we'll kind of go into as we jump into starting a new campaign. So to get into a new campaign without getting too specific, you can just click right here on this Add Campaign button. Now everything's very well documented here. You'll kind of get a overview of what they're talking about from the help text here. But let's just go through these. So first we have Search Network with Display Select. It says best opportunity to reach the most customers. Now that's Google speak for probably you're going to pay the most per click. However, it will get you in front of a lot of people. So what that basically means is you're going to show up on the search network. So you're going to show up on Google, and that includes YouTube. Anywhere in the Google sphere, you'll show up with those text-based ads. And then Display Select is talking about display ads. So what you'll see if you go to a third party's publisher website, let's say a blog, and you'll see ads in the sidebar or in between posts. Those are display ads. So this will give you a combination of both. Now one thing to note is if you are using a display ad, you'll need to create the copy and the graphics for that. So you may want to start with Search Network if you don't have an in-house marketing department. It's up to you. You may want to play around with your own display ads, but just know that if you're doing display ads, people are going to expect to see something that looks professional, looks like a real ad, and otherwise they're probably not going to click on it. Your other options, of course, to do one or the other, and then shopping, which we're not going to touch on in this. But if you are selling a specific product that you want to promote, you can delve into that a little bit further. For the purpose of this, we're just going to do Search Network because we don't have any pre-generated graphics we want to use for display ad. So you can give the campaign a name. In this case, we'll just leave it as Campaign 2. You can modify the type here. You can even do online video, so that's if you're seeing those ads before YouTube videos, those would be online video ads. Those are a little bit pricier, and you can explore that and discuss that with Google if that's something you're interested in. Over here, you'll see, standard is probably what you're going to want to go with. Obviously, when you're getting started, you don't need to get too far into all these different campaign types and all the different options they have. Generally, the standard options are going to be enough to get you started. If you've created a campaign before and you just kind of want to replicate it, you can do that here. Networks, since we've just chosen the search network as our campaign type, we're just going to stick with that. That's our only option. By default, it's just going to let you know that ads will show up on mobile devices, all types of devices. And then here you have the opportunity to get a little bit more granular. So you can put in, U.S. and Canada. Do you want just the United States, or do we want, Massachusetts, United States? You could even do Boston, Massachusetts, United States. And you can add as many of those as you want. So if you have multiple locations, you can target very specifically. And it'll give you some information like your reach, how many people you can expect to kind of see your ad, and don't get it wrong. This doesn't have anything to do with how many people will click through, but it just gives you a general idea of the basic population that will be using Google in that area. You can change the language if you want, target people who are from different countries, or you can sell a specific service to foreign language people. You can change that there. And then here you have the option to manually set bids or have AdWords set them for you. If you're really looking for the hands-off approach, you can let AdWords do it for you, although I'd recommend for the best results, you should, at least when you're getting started, closely monitor your campaign and make sure you're comfortable with whatever the ad spend is there. So then you can set a default bid, which you can change when you set up an ad group, but this is just for all ad groups that would exist within the campaign. So here we could do $5, and that's, if you click on the question mark, it'll tell you it's your max cost per click. So the highest end you'll go for a click. So that means you could have people clicking through for a $1 click, but you could have people clicking through all the way up to $5 per click. So when you're going through this process, and as well with the ad groups, you need to kind of decide what your cost of acquisition for a customer is, and then what makes the most sense within that. If you think a click through to your website is worth a lot, then a higher bid will get you a better placement on the Google web page for all various search queries, and you'll come up higher. You'll have promoted spots, and people will be more likely to click on your ad. And then you'll set a budget. So, for example, if we set our default budget is $20, then that could mean we're only allowed 4 clicks a day if those clicks reach our max default bid, which often you'll find they will. So we could say, 4 clicks a day, it's worth $20 to us, and we're just going to at least see how this goes. Here you can decide to add relevant business information if you want. This is, again, stuff that it's above the scope of this video, but feel free to play around with this. You can also click take a tour if you want to go into more detail. But we're just going to click save and continue. And it's going to jump you right into creating an ad group. So you'll see up here we selected our campaign settings. Now we're going to create our first ad group. And it kind of explains what it is, but basically each ad group is going to be targeted towards a certain set of keywords. So in this case, we're going to use a dental practice. So let's try new dental practice Boston. You'll see over here, you're going to get some examples of different previews, and you'll get top ad. So this is kind of what people are doing to capture that lead at the very top of the Google. So on the top of your search results, you're going to see about 3 ads, and then you'll see a bunch on the sidebar, and those are these side ads. We'll see here we're 1 over the limit for the side ad, but we'd be okay for a top ad. You're going to want to just kind of keep it so that you're within the character limit there. And you can add, a first line description, second line, and then the URL. So this is what this URL is going to say. So you can say mywebsite.com, and then you can, if you want to direct to a certain subdirectory, say we can do mywebsite/sub. So it'll still show up in the ad like they're going to your website, but if you want to direct them directly to a landing page, you can change that destination URL and make that different for each ad group. So in this one, we don't have any sample keywords. It really depends on when you're filling out these descriptions. Google will try and suggest sample keywords for you. In this case, we just put in first line and second line so they don't know what we're trying to sell here. But it gives you some good tips. It says, start with 10 to 20, be specific, avoid one word. So in this one, let's try Boston dentist and one per line. So Boston dental practice. And you kind of get the idea here. You just kind of want to put down about 10 to 20 that you think. It's fine if you want to use Boston in each one. If you're already targeting Boston like we are, there's really no need to do that. But some people may specifically be searching for Boston dentist. So it may be a little bit more salient. You can play around. You can always change these later. And if you want, you can estimate your search traffic. We're not going to do that because we haven't really gone through the entire process. And then here you can set your bid by ad group. So it's the same thing we discussed in the last step. But if for Boston dentist, it's a pretty kind of saturated keyword, I'm sure. Let's just go with $3. So we're not going bankrupt on people just price shopping Boston dentist when they're clicking around. Because you have to remember that anyone who clicks on your link, you're going to pay for it, whether or not that turns into a lead or anything else. You can never forget that. So we're just going to save our ad group. It's going to kind of give us an overview. Now we're inside the ad group section, and you can kind of browse around your different campaigns and ad groups. If we had more, that all show up under the campaign name. So we'll see a preview of what our ad group is. Here's an overview of the keywords we set up. You can add more right here. We can pause keywords. Here you'll see the same kind of details, but by keyword. So there's a lot of good, rich data in here that you can use. So we're looking through here. Everything looks good, and we're just ready to get started. So the best thing to do is head back to your campaign. We'll see here we are. We've got an overview of our campaign. We've got one ad group. It's eligible ad group. Everything looks good. It's green. So then, if we come back to our online campaigns, we'll see that it is automatically gone into play. It's eligible, which means that it hasn't quite been started yet. But we'll see, we'll get an overview of everything we need here. And as the data starts coming in, you'll start getting more intel on what's making sense, whether you should adjust your budget, and you can do all that from within this lovely dashboard. So that's pretty much all you need to know to get started with your own campaign, your first campaign, and start playing around with Google AdWords and how it might bring value to your business and drive more traffic to your website.